Hello, welcome. So tonight I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about dignity versus respect and what that really means um, in terms of is there a difference, is there not a difference, and kind of exploring everything surrounding that and kind of what I think it means kind of sense. So when we talk about dignity versus respect, a lot of things might come to mind. Some people might say they're completely different. Some people say, I didn't know there was a difference, and vice versa, and so on and so forth. So, but when we do take a look at dignity versus respect, they are related, um, in a sense. I think in order to really get a good grasp on being able to have peace, in order to have conflict resolution, we have to understand what the difference between dignity and respect is. So, to put it in layman's terms, or aka the simplest way that I can put it in order for it to make sense, is that dignity is something that is given, as in, it is something that we all have at all times, no matter who we are, what social structure we are part of, no matter what social groups, race, um, religion, sexuality, gender, it doesn't really matter. We all have dignity that is within us, ingrained within us, and respect is something that is earned. Respect is not something that is a given or that is already there because of the fact that, if you walk down the street, you might have a level of respect for everybody because they're human, but that's not always the case with everybody. So, but again, respect is not something that is a given, as in, it is not a thing that you come with as a human to begin with. It is something that is earned through trust and through stability and other such things. So, when we're talking about that with peace and conflict resolution, it becomes a different kind of story because a lot of the time when we talk about peace and conflict resolution, we're actually talking about deep down inside what are core things that really have hurt this person in order to make them not have that respect or feel like their dignity has been hurt. And a lot of the time we don't know that our dignity has been hurt. We only think that, oh, that person doesn't respect me, and I think that for a few of us, we don't really care if somebody respects us or not, but we do ask that they do respect our dignity or keep our dignity. And I think we hear that phrase a lot of like, at least try to keep their dignity about them. That's their their own self, essentially. And I can kind of give you a definition of basically all the definition is all people have the right to be recognized for their inherent humanity. That's what dignity is. And they're all supposed to be treated ethically. Dignity is a given, you just have it, and nobody can take it away from you. And again, while respect is showing admiration for someone because of their abilities, qualities, or achievements, respect is earned. You are respected by others for what you have achieved, experienced, and how you have handled yourself as you have achieved accomplishments. So, I can have dignity for somebody that I don't know. I can respect their dignity because they are human and they should be treated ethically. But that doesn't mean that I have to respect them. But when it comes to, again, peace and conflict resolution, a lot of the times people's dignity is what is hurt. It's the given that you deserve humanity and to be treated ethically in your eyes that has been hurt a lot of the time, or the fact that sometimes, and again, this is where they kind of come hand in hand, that people can also have a lot of conflict if they feel like they're not being respected as a human being. And I hear that phrase a lot. I'm not being respected as a human, so that means your dignity is being hurt. It's not that you're not being respected. It's that your dignity is not being respected. And it's a very difficult thing to try to have a variance in there, but again, that's what a lot of conflict comes from. Is is so if you do you remember how they used to teach us in like some social sciences that there's a hierarchy of needs. It's that triangle, right? There's like our base things that are like we have to have food, shelter, water, things like that, very base level needs. And then it's like our socials, and it keeps going higher and higher and higher, correct? And it gets more complex the higher it goes. And for a lot of that, when we're talking about dignity and respect, dignity is within all of that, while respect is not necessarily within all of that. But again, with conflict, usually it stems from somebody not having one of those hierarchy needs met. And most of the time, it is respect or dignity. And we can go to war because we feel like somebody else's dignity or somebody else's respect is being violated. And again, that's not always the case, but I think a majority of the time that's why we have conflict, is because you're not respecting my dignity, you're not respecting me as a person, which is dignity. But it's a very interesting dynamic, these two different things, I think. And we do use, this is on a website that I wanted to kind of point out, but we do use respect in two distinctly different ways. So we can recognize a power or status difference between people, or recognizing the value of a person. And that's why dignity and respect are so, people think they're very interchangeable, because we use them in two different ways. When it comes to children, we commonly frame being respectful as being polite, and obedient and following the rules. And in this context, questioning the rules or challenging a person enforcing the rules is often perceived as defiant or rude or disrespectful, and usually has some sort of punishment. So the question becomes, should you respect someone in a position of authority who abuses power? Should you respect somebody who doesn't treat others with dignity? Should you respect someone who doesn't treat others with that dignity? Even if you're older than them, or even if you're younger than them, or they're older than you, even if they have more seniority than you, even if they have more experience than you as a person, if dignity is a given that can't be taken away, what does it look like to treat somebody you don't respect with dignity? And I think that is such a good question. What does it look like to treat somebody with dignity that you don't have respect for? That's an incredibly hard thing to do. I think there's many ways you could go about it. There's very many non-peaceful ways you could go about it, but I also think there's a lot of peaceful ways you could go about doing that as well. For me, when I had a boss at one point who used to talk down to people, almost acted as like if all of the employees were 5 years old, no matter how old they actually were. Some were older than he was. And he really did not give them respect that they deserved, because they were wonderful people. And I think for him, for that example, treating somebody with dignity who you don't have respect for, to me, in that situation, would be seeing that they're struggling mentally and being like, I know what that feels like. I hope that they can feel better within themselves. I hope they get help for themselves so that they are going to be okay, even if I don't respect them, even if I don't feel like they should be in the position that they're in, even if I feel like somebody else would do better there. That doesn't mean that I'm setting aside that doesn't mean that I'm not caring for them as a human being. A lot of this also has to do with, your sympathy or empathy a lot of the time. Because if we look at, it's a little dark, but if you look at like people who are sociopaths or psychopaths, well, more psychopaths than sociopaths, they don't have something in them that is emotional. There's not something that's connected right there. And so they don't care about somebody's dignity. They don't care about the basic humanity and the basic um, ethical decisions that should be made because they are a human. That doesn't exist within their mind. So that would be somebody who doesn't treat somebody with dignity because they don't respect them. They don't respect them and they don't think they have dignity. But to normal people, to me at least, that, being like, well, I don't really like this person, but I don't wish any ill will on them. I hope that they can get it together and pull it together and be able to respect themselves enough in order to do this or that. And I think that's what treating somebody who you don't have respect for with dignity really means. I think it's an incredibly hard thing to do if you really don't have any respect for that person. Because, there's definitely been people in my life who are a lot older than me who I don't really have respect for, even because they are older than me, because of the fact that they don't treat others with respect, they violate their dignity and they're like, well, they should just die or they should just do this because they don't respect them. I don't like that. So for them saying that, I don't respect them, but I don't wish any ill will on them. I still see that they're a human and something in them was clearly triggered internally. Something on that hierarchy of needs is not being met with them individually, and therefore they're lashing out on that. And again, you can lash out on behalf of somebody else, but I also think that there might be there's ways to go about it that might be better than just pure anger. I think that you can have a discussion with somebody and not get angry. And that also comes to, like, if we're going to talk politics, which I'm not going to put my own political beliefs in here, but no matter what your political beliefs are, you should be able to have a conversation with somebody who is not the same political party as you. And be able to just sit down and have a conversation. You don't have to respect their decisions or anything like that, but you should be able to respect their dignity when you're talking to them. You shouldn't be like, oh, well, I just wish you would go and do this or do that and harm themselves or somebody like that. That's not respecting somebody's dignity. That's really a difficult thing. But I can have a conversation with somebody who doesn't have the same political beliefs that I do, and we can have a conversation about it. And at the end of the day, we can just be like, hey, how's your family doing? I hope you're doing okay. I hope you're staying safe during all of this. We can do that because I realize that they have dignity and I don't want to violate their dignity. Because violating somebody's dignity, again, is where a lot of conflict stems from. If you feel like somebody is not getting deep down, if you feel like they're just humiliating you and just treating you as not as a person, that's when a lot of people's dignity is violated, and that's a lot of reason to get angry or to get mad. And I think that's a very valid reason to get angry and get mad. There's a lot of people that I don't have respect for, but I do value their dignity, and I think that they deserve to at least have their dignity. And I think that's important in today's world, that we realize that everybody has dignity, and we really need to try very hard not to violate other people's dignity for themselves. And again, that kind of thing is, oh, well, this person did this and this and this. But as respecting their dignity is being like, I hope they get help for themselves. I hope that I hope they're surrounding themselves with people who really love them and care about them during this time. They are going through a lot of stuff and they're being very controversial right now, but I also don't wish any ill will on them. I don't respect them, but I do realize that they have dignity and I don't want to disrespect that dignity. So I think that's a very good lesson. I just want to see what else this website says real quick. Um, a lot of people, I think nowadays, especially like my age group of people, we see people using their position as a way to get away with treating people badly, which is happening. It is a real thing. Um, but if we use dignity as our anchor and ground our work in the belief that every person has value, then we can separate people's abusive actions from their essential humanity. So, for example, and this is something that's on the website, there may be a teacher at your school who belittles students or embarrasses them in front of others. Your students shouldn't respect the teacher's behavior, but they should absolutely treat that teacher with dignity. It may look like the same thing, but it isn't. Treating the person with respect versus treating a person with dignity. But in people's minds, it's important. It's a very good distinction. It's an important distinction. Respect acknowledges the behavior, while dignity teaches the importance of civility and humanity. So, again, this all comes back to the humanity of it all. We are all human. We all have very human experiences. Like, we all mess as humans. As humans, we all are going to mess up at some point in our lives. And you might not respect us for that mistake that we made, and that's okay. But I do ask you treat me with dignity in the sense of that I am human and I do mess up. And I think that's why I like so much the phrase that people can change. I think it's a very dignifying way to hopefully see somebody change. I think that we should all be allowed to have that change. And to me, I can be like, well, I don't like that person, but I hope they do change. That's seeing their dignity, that's seeing their humanity in what they've done. What they've done might not be right, but I hope for everybody else's sake that people are seeing humanity within these people. Yeah. Again, when it comes to the peace and conflict resolution, if we're not treating people with humanity, we're not treating people with civility, and we're only seeing them as the enemy, we're not seeing what all is building up around this, Have we been violating their dignity? Have we been treating them as not a human being? Have we been saying, oh, you're just this or you're just this, and we're not looking at it as, I see why you view it that way, and I hear you. I don't respect that decision myself, but I do understand why you did that at the time. Or something similar. Even with world leaders, I think we need to think about it that way of humanity. While they may not treat people with dignity, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't treat people with dignity. And that goes for every world leader. I'm not just talking about our own world leader in the US, I'm talking about everybody's world leader. I think everybody's world leader is going to make a mistake at some point. You can choose to respect them or not respect them, but please have dignity for each other. Show the humanity and the civility for each other. Because just because you don't like this person or you don't like this person doesn't mean that you wish them dead or anything like that. You can do that. You can separate their actions from their dignity, but it is a very, very difficult thing to do, I think, in today's hair trigger society. And what I mean by that is we see something and we just go off. We don't think about it. I used to do that a lot. And it's okay if you did that, but just realize that it might be better to actually think about what you're doing first, just to make sure you're not violating anybody's dignity and that you're trying to respect people's dignity while saying your piece, because you can do that. And if you don't respect someone, again, you don't have to respect them, but do respect their dignity. It's a very good lesson to learn. I think people learn that at different stages of life, and they can learn that through experience, or they can learn that from somebody else and their own experiences, or something that they were taught. So I know I've repeated myself a million different times in this video, but I just really wanted to get that across because I think it's very, very important. I think, let's take all the drama channels right now. They're going nuts on YouTube for various reasons, which I'm not going to get into at all. But right now, I think some are doing a very good job. Some of the older ones that have been around for a while are doing, and even some of the newer ones really, are doing a good job of saying, I don't respect this person. However, I hope that they're surrounding themselves with people who care about them and who will support them through this, because I don't want to see anything bad happen to them. That would not be good. We don't want you to do anything that you might regret or that kind of thing. And I'm really excited to see people doing that. We have a lot of say in the world. Again, I think there's a lot of YouTubers who don't do that, but I am really happy that at least some of these drama channels are putting that in their video of hey, please don't go wish ill will on these people. This is just me telling you what's going on. I don't wish ill will toward these people. I might not like what they say or do or respect them at all, and that is fine. But I don't wish ill will on them. I hope that they're changing and that they're growing, that they're surrounding themselves with good people who care about them. Because at the end of the day, that's the dignity part of it, is they are human and they do have human emotions, and their feelings are valid no matter how they're feeling, no matter what they've done. They do have feelings, and so we do have to remember that. And they do have family members, and that kind of thing, and that's important to remember. So, I'm glad that you took the time to watch this. thank you so very much for just listening to me kind of rant about dignity and respect. I think it's a really important topic people need to talk more about, and I hope that if you didn't know the difference, hopefully now you do. Or if you already did, maybe you now have a better understanding, or if nothing else, you at least just got to listen to me, and I really appreciate that. So, thank you so much for watching. See you next time.